Hey guys, welcome back to the Whitetail Anonymous podcast number 6, part 2. We were with Nathan Killen. We're going to continue our interview with him. Josh Bias and I say, hey Nathan.
Hello.
Hey, we're back. We're going to start this one on a buck. If I'm not mistaken, Nathan, you killed this buck last year, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, up on a public land in Ohio.
Yeah.
Uh, cool
Was
story.
that AEP land, Nathan?
No, actually, I don't want to disclose exactly what uh,
Okay, that's fine.
public land I was staying close to,
Don't blame you.
and the reason why is because Ohio public ground is a lot smaller than public ground that you or I are used to hunting. Up there, public ground can range anywhere from 250 acres up to I think probably the largest one block of public ground in Ohio is 64,000 acres, but I wasn't on that one. The one that I was on is just 1,200 acres.
Okay,
So,
okay.
And
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about mainly, and I've heard a lot about it in Ohio. I've never been on any AEP land. Well, just the reason I asked, I know they got a lot of it tied up, and I've heard good things about it. But I've also heard what you just mentioned that Ohio's got some really small tracks, and a lot of those are overlooked by people for
yes.
some reason. And that I've heard that that's some good places to look into. But
That's
go ahead.
exactly right.
The buck you killed this year, Nathan. What did he score?
He grossed 160 and 1/8.
Oh, wow, stud of a deer.
And that score does not do that deer justice. That deer looks like a 180-inch deer. I never
Yeah.
dreamed when you said that score. Is that net or gross? Did you say it was
No,
gross?
that's gross. Yeah, I actually don't know what he nets. I never even figured that up. I'm one of those guys that believe nets are for fish.
I agree 100%
I
with you.
really don't worry about it.
No.
Actually, I've out of all the Pokemon bucks that I've killed, I've never actually entered one. I've had three of them officially scored, but I never even turned the paperwork in. It's just that's not that important to me, especially now. The older I get, the less stuff like that.
Matters, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the
Um,
same way.
I,
I've never had one. The only deer, the first, really, my first one was 154 inches, and that's the only one. And I never registered him with Open Young, but I did enter him into the West Virginia, the big
Yeah.
buck contest, the hunting and fishing show. And I've got some numbers I'll send you. They were on the calculated killers thing page. That would blow your mind as far as how many Toby young deer have been killed in the bow only counties compared to the Midwest. It's mind boggling how, but that's a different topic. But it's crazy how many
Right.
deer we killed compared to the Midwest.
yeah, that was a
Right.
neat. That was a pretty neat comparison you did with that, Josh. That was pretty cool. The deer you was it a surprise? Did you get up there and scout? Were you running trail cameras? I mean, how'd you make it happen, Nathan?
Well, of course, this area wasn't new to me. We had been hunting it for. I think this was the sixth year for my buddy. I've not got to hunt it every year. Actually, this season was the first year that I got to hunt it in 3 seasons. But I usually go up and at least scout it and shed hunt it every spring.
Yeah.
But we had been up there. I think it was during September, the first September, end of August, this past summer. Uh, Went up to do some scouting and looking around, and late one evening, we actually set up on the edge of the property that we have permission to go in on. That borders another piece of property. We didn't have permission on that piece of property, but it had corn and soybean on it. So, and it was a drizzly, rainy evening that evening. So we just set up on it and see what we could see come off the public ground that might be feeding in those beans. And there were several nice bucks come out, and one in particular was quite a bit bigger than the others. He was a big 10, and so of course that deer caught my attention, and I looked at some topo maps and some aerial photos that night, and because I had brought a camera with me to set up, and I decided to put it in the area that I felt like that deer was probably passing through. But of course, we left the next day, so it was going to, I wasn't going to be able to come up and check the camera until I was actually up there to hunt, which was 1st of November.
Okay.
And so the first evening that we was up there, the area that I had put the camera out was a spot that traditionally every year had a lot of big scrapes in it. So that's where I had chosen to put the camera. And actually, there was some scrapes had started to open up at that time in that spot. But anyway, the first evening that I was up there to hunt, I went to go check that camera, and it was actually stolen. So I didn't actually have any trail camera footage of him.
Nothing worse than a thief, man. Nothing worse. That's a
Yeah, and that really bothered me. But it's public ground, and I knew that other people would be in there, so
it's one of them
somebody
things.
found my camera and took it. But anyway, I was a little bit discouraged over that. But that there's two main ridges that I hunt in there that leads down into a river bottom, and the river bottom is a long ways from any public access. It's just a really thick, nasty area. But I just started hunting and moving around from spot to spot that I felt like the buck would be using. And we was going to be up there for 10 days, and during those 10 days, I actually seen the deer 4 times. I killed him the 4th time that I seen him, but the first time that I seen him, I was actually walking out during midday to go get my dad. We were going to move a little bit, and I jumped him with a doe. He was actually tending a doe. And but anyway, I set up again and seen him the next morning. And I actually, if I'd have stayed in my tree, I'd have probably killed him that time. But I had seen a good deer that morning. He was probably 150-inch 10, heading to into that bottom that I was talking about. And my plan was to hunt half of that day and then move on. I was slowly trying to inch down to the that bottom. And but anyway, I got down to the bottom of my tree, and he actually chased a doe right by me. He stopped within 25 yards of me. And here I am on the ground putting my stuff together,
Yeah.
having to pull my stand out of the tree and stuff. And of course, here he comes running that doe down through the woods, and all I can see is that big rack coming. And of course, I'm hunting with a longbow, so I'm trying to get an arrow out of my quiver. And by the time he gets there, I'm at full draw. And he stops, 20, 25 yards away, and I'm looking at him down my arrow shaft, but he's quartering to me, so I can't take that shot. He never sees me, but the doe, I think she's seen me, and they both took off running. And luckily they were running actually toward the river bottom that I was wanting to go hunt that evening. So after they left, I went on down there and got set up. And the spot that I was wanting to get set up in is a hollow that empties out between the two main ridges that I like to hunt.
Yeah.
And it kind of forms a little funnel there, like a corner actually. But the wind was blowing in a certain direction. Actually, it was blowing from the river bottom up the hollow. And the tree that I was wanting to get up in wasn't the best tree for the wind direction, so I was forced to hunt a tree that I really didn't want to get up in, but because of the wind, that's the tree that I had to get up. But once I got up the tree, and the wind started to change once the sun went down over the backside of the ridge, and it started blowing down into the river bottom, and that really worried me. And because about that time, I could hear him start chasing her again down in that river bottom. And I thought, surely, I figured he was going to chase her right back by me, and he did. And she come running up through there, and she actually stopped right under my tree. And, of course, the wind is blowing right into the direction that they were coming from. And he stopped about 10 yards in front of the original tree that I was really wanting to be in.
Yeah.
But about 30 to 40 yards from the tree that I was in with no shot. But neither one actually picked me up, and they run back or he actually chased her back into that river bottom. And I hunted there a couple more days and never did see him, so I moved up on top of the ridge to another spot that I had picked out to hunt. And I hunted that stand a couple more days and actually killed him I guess it was the second morning that I was in that set. So, and whenever the first deer that I seen come through was actually a doe. She come up the ridge, which is along the edge of a cedar thicket, and it's real brushy through there. But once she come up there and was milling around, she was actually on the left-hand side of my tree, and I could hear another deer approaching from behind me. And I thought that maybe it was a buck, but I looked behind me, and it was actually another doe. And anyway, a few minutes later, I could hear a deer grunting coming up the ridge in the direction that the first doe was. And but once he and it was him, and he stopped the rubber tree. But anyway, he come up to where I was at and give me it was about a 22-yard shot, I guess. And luckily, I made a pretty good shot on him, and
yeah, the rest is history. The rest is history. It's pretty awesome. You got him with a longbow. That's kind of a dream of mine to kill a deer with a longbow. Us as bow hunters, I guess you kind of try to take it back as primitive as possible. They make it more primitive. Say the word correctly. There, sorry about that, but as possible.
I unfortunately missed a lot of that one. I was having. Did I mess you guys up? I was having all kinds of.
No, you're good. You're good. They were just telling about the cool story of an Ohio buck. I got a lot of buddies who hunt Ohio, and they swear by that October 31st Halloween to about till about November 6th or 7th. They say it is that's the time you got to be there in Ohio.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Well, actually, any time from Halloween to whenever their gun season starts is really good. Seemed like the week leading up to their gun season is when we see, the biggest bucks. But I tell you, if you can find a hot scrape, from Halloween to Veterans Day, it doesn't take very many sits, and you'll get an opportunity at a good deer.
Yeah.
If quality deer you're looking for is in the area. Yeah, it's an amazing place to hunt, that's for sure.
It is. I kind of, not to break off of North Carolina because it has nothing to it, but I wish North Carolina would adopt some of the management practices that Ohio has. Not that we could grow the big deer there, but I think they've just done it right. They've figured out how to do it, and I think I read a stat like 40-some thousand North Carolinians went to Ohio to hunt last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was just an unreal amount of people went up there to hunt, and that shows that they're doing it right and getting chances on big deer. It's a dream of mine to go up there. I'm trying to talk Josh into leasing some land with me up there. I think it's more, I know the public's there to hunt, but it's just from my experience with it down here, it makes me nervous. And it just don't want to step on toes, don't want to cause problems, don't want to get shot, and and maybe it's different up there, but I need to get over my fears of that one there. That's a neat story, Nathan. Cool. And you said he ended up scoring 160 inches. That's a great buck. Did you ever have him aged?
No, I kind of regret not having him aged, which I meant to do that. Whenever I took it to the taxidermist, I meant to have him save the lower jaw for me, but or the lower jawbone for me. But we just got to talking, and I forgot to mention anything to him about it. And then whenever I did remember, it was it's too late. So.
Yeah, one of those things. That's a neat story. Josh, you still here with us?
Yeah, it keeps cutting in and out on me, but yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to it if I want to hear.
Well, what went there? You want to add anything? You want to ask any questions about that story, Josh?
No, I'll go back and listen to it. I mean, I cut bits and pieces of it, some of the good ones, but I'll enjoy it better if I go back and listen to it entirety.
Well, Nathan, I think it's a pretty good roundup there. I appreciate you being on with us. I really do. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for dealing with our technical difficulties, and we're getting this thing started. And my power went out. And we lost. We had a bad thunderstorm here, so it's been kind of a trial and error thing. Josh and I are actually, and for the listeners here, we're really big on reading Topo Maps, and heard you speak on that too, Nathan. And when you look at these huge tracts of land, public in Nathan's sense, or in our private leases. There's no way being 4 hours away that you could scout every inch of that place. So the Topo Maps are huge on being able to power scout these properties and to find the places, and you can do everything but the legwork at home, and you know where to look, know where to be. And we're going to try to do a video cast on on how to read these maps, on what to do with them, how to find these places. Nathan, we'd love to have you on again to talk about some of your ways you're looking at these maps. Everybody reads them differently, and maybe we can work that out down the road.
All right.
You want to add anything to that, Josh?
No, I'd love, to pick his brain a little bit about what he looks for in topos, because, I've got my idea about what I look for, and, the way I taught myself was, finding a place that I knew was a pinch, and then I related it to other topo maps, and that's how I finally learned how to start reading them better and knowing what to look for.
Yeah, on them.
In them, but I would just like to see, what he looks for. One of my favorite places is, like I talked earlier, east-west running ridge, and then if you can find a steep holler or two coming up that east-west running ridge where the deer have got to come around one side to where they can't cross, and they got to come through the head of the bow on that, and looking for those steep, those tight lines, what makes it steep is, one of my favorite places.
Yeah,
to find on a topo map. When I see that, my eyes light up.
You know where to be.
I know what goes on there, but you got to put boots on the ground, because the way these gas well roads and stuff, I've been let down a few times. I've found these places on there I thought was going to be a gold mine, and go in there and there'll be a gas well road there, and then you'll get bombarded with road hunters daily.
Yeah, there. And not to give away too much. We are going to do a video cast and a podcast on this later, very soon, actually. Again, Nathan, we really appreciate you taking the time of being on here with us today. You're awesome at what you do, man. We look up to you. We want to learn from you on that, and I'm sure a lot of people do on this podcast here. Guys, this podcast is brought to you by Nationwide Deer Sense. If you guys are looking for deer scent, Nationwide is the cleanest, freshest urine available. It is also the best priced on the market. Check them out at nationwidedeersense.com. And guys, thank you for being on. Nathan, again, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and we will talk soon.
All right, thank you
I
guys.
appreciate it, Nate.